Welcome back everyone to the Bald Booktuber. Today we are going to be going over my favorite audiobook narrators. So hopefully, like myself, many of you are avid audiobook fans. I've been listening to audiobooks actively and avidly for probably longer than many of you have been alive. I am primarily using it in two ways. One, I like to reread titles that I've read previously on audiobook, and I really love to do immersive reading. That's when you're reading the text along with the audio narration. So those are my two favorite things with audiobooks. And today we're going to go over my top 10 narrators. So coming in at number 10 is Michael Page. He did the Gentleman Bastards sequence. Fantastic. Locke Lamora, Jean, awesome narration. It's one of my favorite series, which is another upcoming video you'll learn about. He also did books 4 through 10 of Malazan Book of the Fallen. Yes, I say Malazan. I know that's not right. That's how I say it. As well as recording a couple of the First Law standalones, which were then re-recorded later on. With Page, really gritty and really good at dark type of stuff. He's very good at that kind of narration. In terms of something that I have not listened to of his yet that I'm interested in doing, there's something called the Chathrand Voyage. The first book of that is the Red Wolf Conspiracy, which I believe I have on Kindle. At some point, I will probably listen to him do that. That was number 10. My number 9 narrator comes in, James Langton. He does the Tawny Man trilogy. If you know me, you know I'm a huge Robin Hobb fan. Tawny Man is my second favorite of her sub-series. Love is Fitz, Love is Fool, Kettricken, all of the female voices are just as good as the male voices. He also does Lysander in Red Rising. So the second part of that saga. So with Iron Gold and Dark Age. And presumably when we get book 6, he will reprise the role. Just really like his narrative, very smooth. Something that he does that I have not listened to yet that I've heard great things about is the Necroscope series. It's a horror series by Brian Lumley. So that is a vampire series that I'll probably get to at some point. Number 8 is Nick Podell. Podell does the Kingkiller Chronicles, so Name of the Wind and the Wise Man's Fear. He doesn't do the Slow Regard for Silent Things, but that's okay because you don't need or want to read or listen to that. But he does the 2 primary books, which I love. Both of those books I love, and I love his narration of it. Very good. With him, an upcoming series that I'd like to do, that he has done the narration for, is The Pattern of Light and Shadow by Melissa McPhail. I don't know a lot about the series. I hear comparisons to Wheel of Time, so maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's not. I don't know, but I know I like his narration. A channel that you should look into, YouTube channel, BookTube, that recently talked about this very series is RJ Gibson. He talked today about starting that series shortly. So I'll link that video in the description. Check out his channel, like, subscribe, all the good stuff. That was number 8. Number 7, we have Samuel Rauken. So Rauken does the Sun Eater series. And if you listened to my previous video or watched it, you know how much I love that series. Rauken is Hadrian Marlowe for me. Top to bottom, his narration is unbelievable. I love his Karn Segura, which, as I understand, is the wrong way to pronounce it, but that's okay. That's how he pronounces it, and that's how I pronounce it. really, really good. You should check out both the series and the narration for it. It's fantastic. I had to kind of look around to see something that he's done that I might have some interest in. There is a fantasy series by Gail Z. Martin, who I've read nothing from, called The Assassins of Landria. I think I might check out that series at some point. Nothing imminent, but with him doing the narration, it, might make the experience better. Number 7. All right, we're moving on to number 6, and this is where we get to some of my very, very favorite narrators of all time. Obviously, the whole list is, but this is when it starts to really separate itself. This is Ray Porter. Ray does the Bobiverse series, which I absolutely love. Dennis Taylor. It's 4 books so far. I think it's going to go to 7. We'll see how that looks. Book 4 I was down on a little bit, Heaven's River, but the 3 previous ones I really, really liked. He did Project Hail Mary, which, again, in the recent video, you know how much I loved that book, loved his narration. And he did The Terminal List by Jack Carr. So my friend Brent got me onto this series. It's a thriller series. Jack Carr's a former Navy SEAL. There's 4 books thus far. I've read the first 2. And Porter's narration is really, really, really on point for all of it, but particularly for that series. A series that I'm interested in that he does is called The Rune Lords. That's by David Fardlin, who sadly died recently. He had an injury to his head. There's a video about it on Brian Lee Durfee's channel. That was someone who was a mentor to Durfee, so very, very sad. That's not the reason I want to pick up this series, but it is a guy that's escaped me thus far. I haven't read any of his stuff, so now's as good a time as any. Number 6. All right, we're moving on to number 5, Andy Circus. He has a chance to be even higher on this list if he just narrates more stuff. So far he's done The Hobbits and The Lord of the Rings, and that's it. And that's a big it, but that's it. He hasn't done anything beyond that. He has done some full cast narration, but I'm not interested in that. I just want to hear him. So hopefully he'll pick up on some other classic works or some other things that he can do. Big fan of his just overall as an actor, as a voice actor. Can't wait to see him play Alfred in the new Batman. Great guy, great actor. What more is there to say? Number 5. We're moving on to number 4, and this is going to be Simon Vance. So Simon Vance is a classic narrator. He's done hundreds of books. I haven't listened to a lot of them, but the ones I have listened to are Dune, Dune Messiah, Fire and Blood by George R. R. Martin, and Interview with the Vampire. So those are the ones that I've personally listened to. Love his narration. For him, he does a lot of Guy Gabriel Kay books. GGK is an author that I'm very, very interested in. I've heard that his prose is rivaling or surpassing Hobb, which I find hard to believe, but I won't know until I read it. So he's someone I'm going to get to very, very soon, and knowing that Vance is doing the narration is a good part of that. So that was number 4. Moving on to the Holy Triumvirate, my 3 favorite narrators of all time. We have number 3, Tim Gerard Reynolds, TGR. So TGR does Brian Durfee's 5 Warrior Angels. He does Red Rising, and in particular, by himself, the first trilogy. He does Rhaeria, which I've listened to the first 2 books of Rhaeria Revelations. Plan to continue the series, really like them. Everything he touches turns to gold. The primary series that he does that I haven't listened to a lot of yet, I've samples and stuff, but didn't go very far, but really want to, is the Saga of the Forgotten Warrior. That's by Larry Correia. Again, Brent raves about this series. Madison recently did a video where it was one of her 10 favorite books of the year, that first book. I'll be getting to it at some point. So that was number 3. Number 2 is James Marsters. So you may know him from Buffy. I never watched Buffy, but I hear he was great on it. He does the voice of Harry Dresden and the associate cast in the Dresden Files, which again, one of my all-time favorite series. I've been listening to Dresden Files for 15 years, something like that. It feels like a comfortable pair of shoes every time you put a Dresden Files book on. It's just the best. I really struggled finding anything else he's done outside of Dresden Files that I would personally be interested in. There's not a lot of it, and it's like some paranormal romance and stuff that just isn't going to be my thing. So hopefully he will at some point record other things, and I will definitely listen because I love James Marsters. Number 2. That leaves number 1, the King of the Hill, the man on the mountain, and that is Mr. Stephen Pacey. Stephen Pacey is by far my favorite narrator. He does all of the First Law. They actually brought him back to re-record the standalone First Law novels, even though earlier on the list, Michael Page, he did them, and those are good recordings. They're really, really good narrations, but fans were up in arms that it wasn't Pacey, so they brought him back to do those. He did all of the original trilogy. He did all those. He did bits and pieces, not the whole thing. There were, other narrations and sharp ends besides him, but primarily him. And then, of course, the Age of Madness trilogy. I love his humor. He makes me laugh when he talks. I love his timing. It's all perfect. I can't imagine anyone ever eclipsing him as my favorite narrator. Everything he touches just turns to gold, which is just fantastic. I did find one series that potentially I would find some interest in that he did besides First Law, and that's a trilogy. It's a horror trilogy, which is not a genre I'm super into, but I might give it a shot. It's James Herbert, who was an English novelist, horror novelist, very, very well known in the genre, apparently. I've never read anything of his, but I've heard things. And that's called the David Ash series. It's apparently a haunting type of tale, haunted house, and David Ash is the protagonist, as I understand it. I believe ghost hunter type of scenario, but I don't know for sure. I didn't look into it too much, but that would be the only other thing I have seen that potentially I'd be interested in that he has done. Again, like some of these other people, I need Pacey to do more narrations. The guy just, everything he touches turns to absolute gold. He is my favorite. So those are my top 10. I would love to hear some of your favorite narrators. Do you love audiobooks? How do you use them? Is it something that you do your chores to audiobooks? Do you use them for re-listens? Do I have people on this list that I've missed? Are there people that you would recommend to me that I should check out? Get the discussion going. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. But other than that, have a wonderful night, and thank you so much for watching.